Hi, I'm Marta Benavides. It's time for Socialife. It's so wonderful to have you back with us again. Easing back into a life that works for you. How do we do that? Great leadership is key, but one Valley mayor says it's the people who are keeping the heartbeat of this community alive. How he's hoping the city will come together in a time of social distancing. There's a great feeling that comes with giving. How you can help provide meals for those struggling during this pandemic. Plus, a fresh way to say hello summer. Our friends from the Patio on Guerra are going to keep us cool with a wonderful recipe. Don't go away, more Socialife right after this.
We give 100%. We do whatever it takes. We sweat the small stuff. Every day, every hour, for 20 years. To ensure that every child in every community we serve has a chance to succeed, compete, thrive. This is just the beginning.
Healthcare is being challenged. DHR Health is meeting that challenge by providing the highest standards of care and safety, caring for our patients, and caring for our community. We're bringing the vast resources of DHR Health's medical campus, its 740 doctors, 5,500 employees, and over 70 satellite clinics in a coordinated effort to fight the spread of the coronavirus in our area. Now more than ever, DHR Health, for you, for life.
Om Satanji Vasarado Vardhamana Satam He Mantan Satamapashantan Satamindra Savita Brahaspate Sata Yashaya Avishebam Punardu. Hi Martha, those are Vedic scriptures. When meditation is mastered, the mind is unwavering like the flame of a lamp in a windless place. Meditation makes you happier. It is a timeless truth. It creates a strong mind that can overcome any obstacles and can help us achieve our dreams. All Hindu rituals and celebrations end with a generic prayer such as Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, meaning let the entire world be happy. Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu, let the people of the world be happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Priest Kalyan Kumar, for your message of hope. It is that hope that everyone is holding on to help get us to that other side. You know, there really is no timetable. The only thing we can count on is great leadership, and one man who's always ready to serve is the Honorable Mayor of McAllen, Mayor Jim Darling. He joins us now for a Socialife chat. How are you, Mayor? Great to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Martha. It's great to be with you. I appreciate it.
You know, this has been a weird time for everyone, Mayor. You know, there was never a how-to manual to get through this crisis. Everyone's kind of easing back into a sense of normalcy. No one really knows how to do this. And we're all just trying to make the best decisions to take care of ourselves and our families and our neighbors. But where does Mayor Darling go to help make decisions that directly affect this community?
Well, I mean, for this particular crisis, obviously it kind of trickles down, so the governor does orders and then the county judge, and then cities can do that. So our team is made up of the emergency management people. It's the city attorney. I'm of course the director, but city attorney, our health department, our public works department. We have a great team at the city for a lot of different things. And they've really adapted to this ever-changing crisis that we're in right now. So I have a lot of support.
You have a great team. You just mentioned that you met with a group of officials trying to figure out where those emergency relief funds, where they're going to go, exactly how you're going to use that money in McAllen.
Yes, the way it works is the money came to the states and went straight to the counties for disbursement. And of course, the Treasury Department issued those kind of in an emergency situation. So the rules are kind of confusing. They sent out for frequently asked questions reports. We got our second version this weekend. And so we're trying to go through that and make it equitable. The city and counties, historically, the county primary day-to-day business stopped at city limits, if you will. Sheriff, roads, drainage,
Sure.
all those essential governmental functions became the city's obligation. And then there's county-wide obligations. So the issue is, should everybody get the same amount of money pro-ratally, or should we recognize that the county has some more expenses that are considered countywide above city expenses? And so we've been kind of negotiating that with it. Obviously the judge and at least one commissioner have been city officials, so they understand both sides of the issue. And so it's we're very close, I think. And the obvious thing is we don't want to leave any money on the table, because all the money has to be spent by December 30th. And that clock is running, and we're in the middle of trying to have meetings with Zoom and all those kind of things. It's not easy. So the bottom line is, number one is we spend it properly for all our citizens, the benefit as many as we can, and we get it spent before we have to give it back to the federal government. And we're working through that now.
How is the city helping local merchants, Mayor, get back on track?
We have a program for that. It's a loan program and a grant program. So the grant program is kind of like for rent, back to rent, to get them caught up. And then the loan programs for like inventory and those things so they can make money. So we have a combination. I'm told that our grant program that we just rolled out recently had over 50 applicants in the first 40 minutes. That's one plus per minute. And so we'll have to go back and see, process some of those and see how it works. And then, of course, the city commission, we've already talked about increasing the funding for that based on the demand. So we'll make sure we try to do that.
So many residents of this community are just itching to get back out. They want to go shopping, they want to go to restaurants. What are your thoughts on, the governor relaxing restrictions? From your perspective, too slow, too fast, the reopening?
Well, I think in our area, we're the sixth largest metropolitan area of the state. And by the way, I look at it kind of a little bit different way than some of the people do, is that they look at the percentage of people that test that are positive. I don't think that's an accurate one, because the question you can ask, you ask 4 questions if you have 1 or 2 symptoms. So all I have to do is say I have a chest cold or chest pain or whatever. I'm going to get to be tested. So I think the number of people testing don't necessarily have symptoms like they're supposed to be. So what I look at is the number that actually have it, how many are in the hospital, how many in the ICU, which is hospital capability, first 2, and then how many deaths, how serious it is, and how are we taking care of the most vulnerable people. That's kind of a measure there, right? And if you look at all those measures, we're really doing well. Now, whether that's our people abided by the mask and we've continued social distancing, I'm not sure, but we've done percentage-wise much better than the rest of the state. So I think, people want to open up. I think the stores already are. If you go to the stores, they're pretty crowded. I think a restaurant's a little different because that's more of a personal thing, choice. And so I think people that feel safe are going to go to restaurants. I think there's an initial surge of people that just want to get out, but I think the people that want to feel safe are holding back a little bit and saying, do I want to go to a restaurant or not? And we're seeing that I think open up a little slower. But they certainly like to eat out. So the drive-in windows are doing well and have done well. So I think the governor's taken a kind of in the middle approach. Not too fast, not too slow. It's been very difficult. Some of the measures have been a little bit confusing, where we say you shouldn't. Well, you shouldn't. It's not a violation. You shall not. It's a different. And so we've had some of that. But I think overall. We've avoided, arresting people from not wearing masks. We did a little differently in McAllen, by the way. Most of the citations we gave for the COVID orders were in conjunction with another violation. So if we pulled somebody over a DWI, had when we had the curfew and it was at 1 o'clock in the morning and they were just coming home from a party or whatever, we did the DWI, but we also gave them a citation for the COVID. So we did mostly, I think we did 80 tickets like that and maybe about 30 or 40 direct violations. So we, how do I say this? We enforce it, but we toned it down. We wanted people to comply, but we didn't want to, we didn't want to make it a criminal matter to the extent we couldn't, but if we had to, we enforced it.
You mentioned the mask just a moment ago. There's been quite a divide on that. Do I wear it? Do I not wear it? I had a friend of mine just mention recently that she went to a store in the community of McAllen and she felt judged because she was wearing it, Mayor. Just your thoughts on that.
Well, it's like when we opened a library a couple weeks ago and I gave an order that everybody had to wear a mask, and I had more people complimenting, saying I felt safe going in. I'm glad that you did it. And so I think there's maybe different venue where that's people want to wear a mask. I think it's a courtesy to do it. Right now we ought to respect each other. And I know that everybody's saying, well, it's a freedom, the government shouldn't have to tell me things, but we do a lot of things that are courteous. You hold the door open for somebody, etc. Well, this mask to me is just an extension of that. And if you feel comfortable doing it, I understand that some people, it's uncomfortable to do that. I understand that. But at the same token, I think if we show that we're Americans, we're all in together, and that it's a matter of courtesy to one another, I think you would do it. So I try to do it when I think it's, my wife wears it all the time, so she's always telling me I've got to wear it properly. But I just think it's a good idea right now, because I don't know if we're out of the woods or not. The numbers fluctuate. For sure, we're not completely out of the woods, and as we see more events opening up and social distancing being more ignored, then maybe the masks are a good idea. It also, for me, keeps me from reminds me, hey, don't be touching your face all the time, because you do that a lot.
We do. We're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
It serves as a good reminder.
And I think an extension, if you had the flu, you shouldn't go out. But if you think, if you've got a cold, you ought to wear a mask anyways to protect people around you. I think that hopefully we'll see one of the things that changes is more use of masks, just because of people have infectious diseases.
Has this crisis affected the relationship with Mexico, with our close proximity to the border? Have there been any issues that you want to talk about?
Well, it's always different because we're on the border, right, from the rest of the state. They don't, V1 and V2 visas are the traditional visitor visas. The president hasn't allowed those people to come across. And so, for instance, at the Hidalgo Bridge that we own, we get anywhere between 700 and 1,000 people a day walking across the bridges, doing business, visiting, whatever. And we're down to about 700, so we're down 90%. So that affects us financially, but it also affects our ability, shoppers, for instance, friends, for instance, people going for doctor's appointments over here. So just the commerce has been very much affected. Not so much the freight. The trucks are still going across. What's affected them really is what's happening in Mexico. Because of the president's concern about Mexican factories, they've been shut down, number one, because health concerns. By the way, that was more transportation, getting people back and forth to the factories. And then number two, parts manufacturers from all over the world. So you've seen they can't get the parts to from all over the world come in, they get assembled in Mexico, they come here or other places. A lot of the parts can't get here, so Mexico manufacturing slowed down. So it's really caused stress on the border. We have parts manufacturers here. We have people that work in Mexico at factories. Trying to measure that is difficult because it's over two borders. And so I think there's been significant ones. Kind of an interesting one though, is Americans aren't restricted from going to Mexico and coming back. Yet we restrict people from Louisiana. I don't know if it has to do with crawfish eating, I'm not really sure. But it doesn't seem congruent to say Americans can go back and forth to Mexico. If Mexico is that dangerous, why are we allowing that? Having said that, we only know of 3 Mexican-related travel viruses, H1 in the county. So obviously, even though people are going across to Progresso, et cetera, shopping, restaurants, whatever, pretty regularly, without restriction, it hasn't impacted us from a health standpoint significantly. So it's kind of a mixed message, I think. On the other hand, I think we're on the cusp of a greatness here because of the new regulations under USMCA. And when everything gets down to normal again, we ought to talk about, we ought to measure all the relationship. I always say, what happens in Mexico happens to us. This is really one that showed that, and I think we ought to, hopefully the state will spend more time on border issues than they have in the past.
Another important message I know that you're dedicated to driving home is the importance of participating in the census. How can we make our voice count? How do we get involved, Mayor?
Well, we're at 50%. That's not great. We're still behind the state and the federal government. By the way, in the 2010 census, and we still have some of the old timers still on the board, we were in between the federal and state. So we were better than the state and a little less than the federal government. So we're confident we'll do this. I think our biggest thing is we looked at some of the impact of specific zones. And a lot of it is in our lower income one, and there's two reasons for that. The emphasis on Wi-Fi, right? And they don't have Wi-Fi in a lot of those places. And then number two, I think also the emphasis is on all the debate of whether you had to put your nationality on. And we have people in our area that, for right or wrong, have relatives, friends, whatever, that are undocumented, or maybe a family member is. And they're really afraid to participate because of the ramifications of that, possible ramifications. Everybody has a story that I know of about somebody that got deported because maybe their visa was expired for 10 days or they got pulled over on a ticket or whatever it is. And so it's hard to get over saying, trust us on that. And we have a great relationship with CBP and Border Patrol. I don't want to besmirch them anyways, but I think that's stopping some people. So, we're going to get out and try to reach better into the community, those different kind of communities, and say, okay, why aren't you doing this? Some of our elderly people don't do it, because they think, why would I care? So, we're going to work with all different segments of our population and try to isolate why they wouldn't do it, and then meet those reasons that they're not. But we need to do it. It's so important, and it's 10 years, So if you're 20 years old and you say, I don't need to do it, it's not going to bother me. You're going to be 30 years old. And it's going to affect you all that 10 years. And so trying to emphasize it's really important, and you don't see it immediately, but it's there and it happens, and it affects funding. So school kids, college kids, anybody, it's going to be affecting.
We appreciate your time, Mayor. I would love to ask you to lift a very special mug, I believe. There we go, because I think it's an important time to toast to great leadership. And there's so many ways that we can all serve as leaders. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. There's nonprofits. You don't have to just run for public office. A lot of great leadership in nonprofits, the backbone of our community, and volunteer for boards. There's all kinds of great things to do. Just volunteer.
Salud to that, Mayor. Salud to that. Thank you so much for your great leadership and your time, Mayor, and we wish you and your family all the best.
By the way, this is good city water. It's tap water. It's great. It's healthy for you. And so don't be buying that real expensive water. Support your local merchants, but it's really good.
I have tap in my mug right now, so thank you for that. Appreciate it so much, Mayor. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Coming up, a great time to contribute. We're going to show you how we can offer some help to the food bank of the RGV in an interview right after this.
There is a magic to this valley and to this university. We are champions in the arena, in the halls, and in our communities. The Valley's pride. The Valley's future. The Valley's University.
University Draft House. Civilized burgers for uncivilized appetites.
Did you know when you bank with Lone Star National Bank, you're investing in your community? By creating jobs that stimulate our local economy, creating success that we share with our community. In fact, Lone Star National Bank donates more money and more volunteers to more causes than all other area banks combined. We do what the little banks can't, and the big banks won't. Lone Star National Bank, the Valley's Bank.
Welcome back to Socialife. You know, it's truly amazing what we can do when we come together as a community. And joining us are our friends from the Food Bank of the RGV to tell us how we can all answer the call for help, because there's a great need for support right now. We want to welcome CEO Stuart Haniff with the Food Bank of the RGV. We thank you so much, Mr. Haniff, for joining us.
Martha, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet with you.
How great is the need here in the Valley?
Well, you know, in a non-pandemic, which it's hard to imagine a time when there was no pandemic, the Food Bank RGV serves 64,000 men, women, children, and seniors every single week. And we do that. We have a distribution network with 275 charity partners. Wow. So soup kitchens, churches, pantries, the Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army. So we get the food out to people who need it the most. We've seen, though, in the wake of this health and financial crisis, a steep increase, really an exponential demand from our community. Students who are not getting their meals at school because schools are closed, seniors who are having to shelter at home because of safety, and working families, probably about 40% or more, who have never had to access a food bank because their hours have been cut or they've lost their jobs altogether. All of that has combined for an increase in demand of over 281%. So typically we feed 64,000 of our neighbors every week. That's gone to almost 95,000 with no real end in sight.
It has gone up significantly. How can we help?
Well, we actually started back in February. We tried to make sure that we were proactive and not reactive, and we wanted to get ahead of this challenge because we knew this was an unprecedented crisis, the likes of which we've never seen before. There's no playbook or manual for this. But as first responders for food, we've been here for 35 years, Martha. So we've seen our share of disasters and crises, and we wanted to make sure that we were prepared and that our valley and our residents in the valley had the food they need for whatever came next. So we started our resource readiness and response campaign. And that is a monetary campaign with initially the goal of raising enough to provide $1 million. Now that sounds like a million meals, excuse me. That sounds like a lot of food, but we're able to leverage $1 so that it's enough to provide up to 5 healthy, nutritious, complete meals. So that's really a monetary goal of $250,000. As this crisis started to expand, and as the need in our 3 counties that we serve, Cameron, Hidalgo, and Willacy, quickly expanded exponentially, we realized 1 million meals would really not go very far. So we continued to push this campaign. We've had some great corporate partners. We just finished our Heart of the Valley Feeding the RGV campaign with our friends at KRGV, which raised over $317,000.
Terrific.
So with this campaign, we're able to keep pace and not just meet the need, but beat the need, because we have no end in sight. We still see a rise in cases here in the Valley, and we want to make sure that we have enough dollars so we can translate that into meals. And we actually have started our drive-through emergency pantries. We've taken our in-house pantry at the front of the food bank and we moved it outside in the interest of safety. It's a drive-through model. It's dual-sided, so cars go up and down, in and out as quickly as possible, little or no contact. We have one on Tuesdays for the general public from 9 until 11 a.m. or until capacity is reached. And the same on Thursdays for our seniors, 60 and over. And through these drive-through emergency pantries, we're able to distribute food, fresh produce, eggs, milk, emergency food bags to people that absolutely have no food. I'm very proud to report our last 8 primary distributions here at the food bank. We've been able to clear the lines completely. No family has been turned away. We also had on May the 12th, our mass DTAP or drive-through emergency pantry at Bert Ogden Arena. We were able to meet 4 times, quadruple the number of families, 1,625. And we're going to do the same thing on June 9th at the HEB soccer park. This time we're going to double that 1,600, and our goal is to feed 3,000 families in one day. So as long as we have the dollars, the support of our community, the generosity of our partners and our donors, we'll be able not just to meet the need, but beat the need. And I've always said, the hearts, the compassion, the humanity, the generosity of our valley, the Rio Grande Valley, is bigger than any pandemic or any crisis or any disaster.
Well, you can certainly count on the support that Socialife and our audience we're hoping to bring to you and the cause, because it certainly is an important one. We wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Mr. Haniff.
And Martha, one last thing, if I could, if anybody would like to make a donation, feel free to visit our website at www.foodbankrgv.com and click on our donate page for our resource readiness response campaign. Every single dollar stays right here in the Valley, and 98 cents of every dollar goes directly to feeding our neighbors in need.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Mr. Haniff. Thank you for the great work that you do.
Thank you, Martha. Have a great day.
Thank you. And coming up, a cool recipe that's going to get us all ready for summer, thanks to our friends from the Patio on Guerra. Don't go away.
McAllen feels different today. National emergency is changing everyday life in a place known for being social and open. But changing how we live doesn't change who we are, a community that makes the most of each day. We're still closely connected, even at a distance, working to make McAllen safer today and stronger tomorrow. Together, we'll look forward to the day when this emergency has passed and new reasons to celebrate begin. Until then, we'll make the most of McAllen.
Hey folks, welcome to the Patio en Guerra. My name is Ruben Garcia. This is our chef Joey Morales.
¿Qué tal? Buen día.
So today we're going to show you how we prepare our snapper ceviche, which is our most popular and favorite appetizer. So chef, let's get started. If you're familiar with Texas, the Gulf it's right here with us. So Port Lavaca, that area. So we get it freshly every day. It's caught between 12 and 4 a.m. We receive it that same day between 12 and 2 p.m. just depending on the quantity. We only use fresh snapper for our ceviche. The key to making a good ceviche is fresh ingredients. As you can see, our chef Joey Morales has fresh cilantro, jalapenos. You can use jalapenos or serranos, however spicy you like to enjoy your ceviche. Roma tomatoes, onions. Then we have the basic ingredients like your salt, kosher salt, pepper, apple cider vinegar. And as you can see how fresh the ingredients that we're applying to the ceviche, that's the main focus that you want to to focus on making a ceviche, a great ceviche like we do it at the Patio in Guerra. So while we're preparing your ceviche, we also have to have in mind what we're gonna have to drink. I like to pair it with a Sauvignon Blanc, which is high acidity. It just complements the flavors of the citrus and the freshness of the fish. Ceviche is ready, time to be served. Ma'am, your snapper ceviche.
Oh wow, this
Enjoy.
looks amazing. It's so delicious.
Cheers.
Thank you, the Patio on Guerra and Becky and everyone for having us here today. You all have to come try this. Cheers, Marta.
Sally, don't forget to save a bite for me. And thank you so much to our friends at the Patio on Guerra. Can't wait to try that tasty ceviche platter. We also want to thank the Honorable Mayor of McAllen, Jim Darling, plus our friends from the Food Bank, RGV, and priest Kalyan Kumar for his words of wisdom, and especially you for joining us. We can't wait to serve you again for the next episode of Socialife. Thank you so much. We leave you now with the art of socialifing.